set it up and turn it around. We might have come from somewhere else, but this is where we found ourselves. Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Welcome to another edition of the Local Show here on Grassroots Community Network. Welcome to our Facebook Live audience and our YouTube audience. Our sphere of influence is growing, soon to be on Apple TV and Roku. Thanks again for joining us this week, where each week we feature inspirational locals. So excited to have a friend of mine back. Actually, it was my last roommate ever in Aspen. He has been serving now his almost end of his third term.
End of my third term, yeah.
Welcome, Mayor Skadron, to
thanks,
the Local
Erik.
Show.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Erik. I've done a lot of speaking engagements in my 3 terms as mayor, Erik, but coming to the Local Show is among my favorites, seriously.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's you're part of the fabric of community, and that's one of the things that makes us special here. So thank you for all your work over the years on Local Show.
I thought it was mostly the Eco Stretch Hummer
that you sent for me.
That picks you up usually at your door.
Powered
now by bird methane, which is pretty much like capturing bird farts. It's tricky.
Yeah.
And I won't give out any details on how we do it, but it's worthwhile and it's making us more green.
Erik, it was a collaboration between our Climate Initiative program and the Local Show.
Yes. At the city, the county, Snowmass Village, we actually had 4 or 5 entities involved in that, in powering the Eco Stretch Hummer. Combined with the cookies, which is pretty much the reason almost every guest shows up. Right. They want my organic chocolate chip cookies. So thanks for being here, man. This is really an honor.
It's fun.
And we were roommates back in the day, and it's been really interesting and fun to see how we both progress now over 30 years. And for you, you've been here?
I'm going on 25.
25 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Erik, that's an interesting story. I talk about that often because it comes up, how did you get involved in politics? And I showed up, it was winter 95. I'm in my 24th year, I think, so winter 95.
Wow.
And I had no place to live, of course, and I was down on a couch in Glenwood Springs for a couple weeks. And you had something posted at the Aspen Club, said need a roommate, and you and I met at the Aspen Club.
That's right.
I picked up a part-time job there, and you were sales, I think, at the time.
Yes, membership sales.
Yeah, and then what I rented was your attic for a year. So thank you very much.
So things went from bad to worse, in other words.
From the back of my car to your attic. I should have stayed in the car.
See, that's good though, because that was like a similar transition, because you were used to like living tiny.
Yeah.
You stayed living tiny.
Erik, it's interesting because it's talk about a small footprint.
Yeah.
And I still do. I still kind of minimize my footprint, and you learn to live on a little. So we were doing it back in the day.
Have you seen the new movie on Netflix? Well, now it's been out for a year or two, called The Minimalists on Netflix.
I haven't.
It's some millennials, of all people, who get out of college, get these great jobs, making all this money, and they're somehow not landing in the land of happiness.
Yeah.
The American dream is about, if you make money and get all this house and the white picket fence and the 2 cars and all that, you're going to land somehow in happiness. They weren't. So they sized down, moved, not only lived tiny, but they got down to like 4 shirts, 33 pieces of clothes in total. And then they went on a tour around the country speaking about this minimalist, releasing burden off their life.
It feels good.
And they were gaining happiness by living in a different way, where you're focusing more on experiences and adventure and people instead of just this 9 to 5 grind every day.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Erik, it's funny. We can joke about the way we were living back in the day, but I think that went a long way to informing the policies that the community elected me to implement.
Right.
And it's kind of a value proposition that was informed back in the day by just kind of being that little bit of a ski bum, 3-job kind of dudes we were back then. So,
you know what? I was really happy. I mean, for one, I was skiing 120 days a year.
Yeah.
So that was a very big source of happiness. But work was it was kind of like something you did to support your ski bum lifestyle. We had a pretty reasonable rent. That was back when you could get free market affordable housing.
We had free market affordable housing.
Even though it was kind of a dive, but hey, that's, part of it.
Kind of a dive.
Well, it was a dive. So let's be honest. But still, we were pretty happy, weren't we? We didn't have like all these worries.
I was in the attic.
Yeah.
on a mattress, and it was the A-frame. I had to bend over like this.
Yeah.
Not only that, I had the mountain rescue whistle.
Okay, so that was pretty tough.
In
that
my
was rough.
window.
That was rough. So people may remember we were on the corner of 8th, 6th and Main, at what's called the Little Victorians, where Old Mountain Rescue is right next door.
Hickory House was to our immediate west, across 6th Street to the west, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And then the Old Mountain Rescue was right there with that horn alarm on the top. And sometimes that would, rotate. But when that was in the middle of the night or early in the morning, especially, it'd be like, it would come right into our window.
Yeah, yeah.
And with those low ceilings, I mean, I was almost hitting my head too, jumping up out of bed. But you were in the attic, so you were at the top of your game.
Yeah, and it was a one-bathroom unit, and it had a little circular stairway. So I had to.
Oh, that's right.
Some of those nights I had to.
You had that little
maneuver
circular thing that you had to navigate up.
Yep.
So that was almost like a DUI test. If you could make it up there, you were probably okay.
It's like, oh, did I brush my teeth? Oh, I didn't. All right, gotta walk down.
Oh man,
here we go.
Yeah, going down it was probably really tricky.
See, you never knew the agony of attic living, the joy and the agony.
I came up every now and then and poked my head up there, when the time was right.
Eric, the other thing from back in the day, and I comment on this every time because you and I have this running joke. It was at the height of Beavis and Butthead, and you were a big fan, and you introduced me to Beavis and Butthead, and there is. There's a lot slice of Americana.
A lot of intellectual property was gained during those viewings of Beavis and Butthead.
Eric, back on the campaign trail years ago, I was out knocking on doors, and a guy actually said to me, I remember this so vividly. He said, I saw you on the local show, and you and Erik were talking about Beavis and Butthead. And I told the story of the Beavis and Butthead movie. This sucks more than anything that ever sucked before. It's one of these lines from the movie.
Oh, when their TV got stolen.
Yeah, when the TV got stolen, exactly. And this gentleman said to me, anybody who can quote Beavis, I'm voting for, you quoted Beavis and Butthead, anybody who can quote Beavis and Butthead, I'm voting for. So
You've got my vote.
One vote.
See, that's a great plank in a platform.
Yeah.
There you have it.
One vote.
Okay, well, people who are running right now should keep that in mind. Yeah. Throw that Beavis and Butthead out there, and maybe they'll gain a few, or they could lose votes. That could work both ways. Hard to say. We're going to take a quick break, buddy. We got so much to get to,
Good.
Including rock star hair.
Yeah.
Think about that one.
Yeah.
And that'll be a little tease for you guys. Think about rock star hair. We had Suzanne Paris, the high priestess of rock, last week. We're going to talk about rock star hair and so much more. But I want to thank our winter underwriter. Yeah, you're getting it going on there, buddy.
I just got a haircut.
Did you? Okay, well, we definitely have some things to talk about. I do want to thank our winter underwriters, including the Aspen Animal Hospital. Luna was going to say Aspen Animal Hospital. Aspen Public House, Aspen Square, the Aspen Times, Klug Properties, Pitkin County Landfill, and Sundog Athletics. Our only break of the show, guys, is 2 minutes. We'll be back with Mayor Skadron. Get his thoughts on his 3 terms as mayor, what's in store in the future, and what's up with that rock star hair. So don't go away.
Aspen Animal Hospital's partnership with Wellhaven offers our community a very friendly and professional staff featuring 5 veterinarians, a new care companion plan, wellness plans to cover your preventative care needs for the entire year, and now introducing new feline-friendly Thursdays. They also offer exotic pet care and acupuncture. For more information, call 970-925-2611 or visit aspenanimalhospital.com.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
Aspen Times, telling the stories that matter since 1881, is committed to local prep sports, arts, and entertainment coverage. They also offer The Drop-In, weekly recreational videos highlighting why we love to live in this community. The Aspen Times at local newsstands, aspentimes.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Hey, did you miss the turn for recycling?
I can't read the map on your cracked screen.
Celebrating another great winter season, Aspen Square Hotel is the hospitality place, featuring fireplace studio suites and larger condominiums with full hotel-style services in the center of downtown Aspen. Aspen Square is proud to support the Locals Show.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
We're back here on the Local Show with Mayor Steve Skadron, my last roommate, reminiscing so far. But I have to catch you guys up to current status, which is what's up with the rock star hair.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me like it's like cool, like Aspen cool.
Yeah.
But then it's like, wow, I'm the mayor of Aspen, so don't I need to be like this
Yeah.
clean-cut guy?
Yeah.
So what goes on with the hair and kind of the wild hair aspect?
Well, I did just get a little trim, so I brought it in.
Okay,
here.
so it's actually a little more.
Yeah, thinned out a little bit, brought it in here, and brought it back.
A little more in
but
control.
you're right. I'm conscientious about that. I'm not looking to be a crazy wild hippie man, but
It's just like kind of like you try to balance like being like kind of carefree ski bum guy, Aspen guy with responsible mayor guy.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm reading too much into it.
No, it's just I never thought that much about it actually. It's just I'm due to. At times in my Aspen career, it's been long, and at times it's been short. But you know what? It's now that you bring it up, it's a little bit of an iconic thing when I'm in Denver or I'm in Washington or I'm speaking to other ski towns.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a little bit like a branding, like a mountain thing, and it helps. It plays well, believe it or not.
Right, right. It's
Now
an
that-
authenticity, basically.
It's an right.
It's like the Aspen guy should look like that. I mean, I'm kind of getting it going on, and there is a pragmatic aspect when you're outside a lot, like we are in the winter. It's
right.
cold.
It's cold,
It's been
right.
cold this winter.
That's right.
That actually is a little extra warm.
Eric, that is part of it too. You know, I skin a bunch. I'm out there early mornings, and there's a little bit of a warmth factor that comes with it too.
You just got to work the beard a little bit next, because that really helps, especially those Highland Bowl hikes where you're getting lambasted
60 mile
from
an hour
right to
wind
left
gusts.
usually, and that ice, snow builds up then ice, but it actually gives you a little insulating effect.
Yeah, Eric,
with the crosswind.
you could also try a buff. You know.
I just got a buff.
Yeah.
In fact, it was at Bike to Work Day.
Yep.
Which was last Friday or the Friday before.
I got one also. I picked one
the
up.
red buff.
Yeah.
It said Bike to Work Day 2019. So now I'm set.
It's
Put on my buff and I'll be buffed.
It's a critical piece of gear. You'll never go out without it. It's fantastic, and you can use it 14 different ways.
I know there's many, many different ways to wear the buff, which I'm looking forward to exploring, including as a Speedo.
Yeah.
Which I'm really looking forward to. Maybe closing day at Highlands.
All right.
To kind of let that one marinate a little bit. But I do want to work into a couple little more serious topics. This Lift One thing. And it reminds me of, and we were both here, the Ritz-Carlton vote. We have this, which is now the St. Regis Hotel. We voted on that.
That was I believe a year before me. That was just before me.
Oh,
Ritz-Carlton vote. So.
Okay. Well, darn, because I was going to ask you to compare and contrast.
Yeah, that's a little bit before
the Ritz-Carlton vote, which I think was 51% to 49 from memory.
Yeah.
Right around in there. It was close.
Was it?
And I think this one's going to be close, too, on March 5th, although early voting has already started.
Yeah.
You know, I think the mail-in ballots went out about a week ago.
I got my ballot, yeah. You know, it's interesting here. I actually have the ballot with me. If you read the ballot language on the actual ballot, it's this long. It's really complicated, and I think that's kind of a basis for our discussion. There's going to be a community forum tomorrow night. That'll be Wednesday, the 21st, when this airs, discussing some of these issues. The project itself, if you come from the perspective that something eventually will happen there, that this project might be acceptable. You know, something's going to happen. That said. It's a little bit unsettling to me when it's this entire project, which is 300,000 square feet of development, is within the context of bringing the lift down the hill and only bringing the lift down the hill.
Right.
And we're celebrating that as a community. Let's capture our roots from the 1948 when Lift 1 was built and put the lift back in its original alignments. And so vote for this thing. And while that is a hopeful outcome of an affirmative vote, the fact is what we're really discussing is 300,000 square feet of new commercial development, essentially, two hotels development. That includes a whole bunch of things, hotel rooms and timeshares and a little bit of some affordable housing. But it's like taking the St. Regis, which I think is around 200,000 square feet of development,
Okay.
and the Hotel Jerome, which is like another 100,000 square feet. Taking the St. Regis and putting another one of those on the hill, and taking the Hotel Jerome and putting one of those up on the hill.
And on the hill is one of the big
hill.
differences between that and the Ritz, which
Yeah,
is now
that's
the
right.
St. Regis.
Right.
That's one of the big when you compare and contrast. Now we're talking about something up on the slopes.
Right.
That is two massive projects. Now, one way to think about, there's a lot of ways to approach this, and obviously the affordable housing component is extremely important to a lot of us. I mean, Aspen and Pickens County say it's the number one priority, and yet these guys have whittled it down to house about 30% of over 200 projected employees. So that's obviously a problem for a lot of us that prioritize affordable housing. But the other way to look at it is people are citing the other portal, which is Gondola Plaza. Well, one little Nell was palatable. Two little Nells going in there?
Yeah.
Well, you could look at it that way too. Do we need all that? And now today, one week you get a love letter on Valentine's Day. Now today we see the threat of the lift. So you get the love and then you get the threat from the applicants that say if we don't get all this, the lift won't come down as far.
Are you referring to the Aspen Daily News article, today's paper? That one? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of the gun to the baby's or the puppy's head kind of thing. If you don't do it, the lift won't come down.
What makes this so complicated is that although we prefer more affordable housing in the project, the applicants, to their credit, have met the letter of the law. They've met what's allowed by code through various density agreements and having certain kind of, not density agreements, it's
because of the lodging incentives.
the lodging density itself, the lodging incentives.
Yeah.
So while we'd prefer to have 100% affordable housing, we try to shoot for 60%, and the reality is, because of the nature of the project, the applicants have met the requirements of the code. So the other component, Eric, that
but they could still do 35% if they wanted to.
Exactly, and I mentioned that at the council meeting. So just to be transparent here, this came before City Council, and the council was posed with the question to refer this to the voters, and council ultimately supported referring it to the voters. It was a 3-2 vote. I was on the dissenting side. I dissented. I voted against sending it to the voters, and there were two reasons. One had to do with just what you talked about, the spirit of affordable housing. While you meet the letter of the law, the spirit of this, because of, as you described, our need would suggest for their own benefit that you house more people than what the code obligates you to house, number one.
Right.
And secondly was this $4.36 million public subsidy, public contribution to the project. And they felt it was necessary to make their program work. I was quite unsettled by that. It's hundreds of millions of dollars of development there, and to ask the community to chip in another $4 million as if that's going to make or break the project.
Right.
I
know voters that will object just because of that one thing.
Yeah.
So if they took that off the table, that would have created a lot more support.
Goodwill in the community. I said that at the community meeting. I said to position this, the best way to garner public support is to not ask for this $4.36 million. And their response was on the line. It just helps us ensure that the project actually gets built. So, and to their credit, a lot of people worked really hard on this. The Brown team worked hard on it, and the Gorsuch team worked really hard on it. Sure. Our city staff was incredible, kind of shepherding all this.
Right.
The developers took time out under council direction, spent a year kind of hammering this thing out. So it's not just a typical development where the developers are saying, give me all this or else. It's been kind of this collaboration, and we're here. Now, whether it's enough collaboration to gain support of the community, we'll see what the vote has been.
So what's your prediction? The $1 million question is, will it, I'm thinking it's going to be close. Will it barely pass, or will it barely get defeated?
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a read on? Every day I almost change my mind
for
who I'm talking to that day.
I'm with you, Eric.
It's going to be close, I think.
Yeah.
So every vote counts. That's another great, part of that is we need to involve as many of our registered voters as possible and get out and vote.
Eric, what's important to me is that those voting on this are discussing the project holistically and aren't just celebrating this notion of getting a lift down the hill. Right. Yay, let's vote for this because we get a lift down the hill. You have to vote on it because you believe the development equation serves the long-term interest of the community. Right. One component of which is the lift, and that's a relatively small financial aspect of this entire cost aspect of this entire project. Do you want 300,000 square feet of development? Do you want to convey certain city privileges to the developer so they can access this throughway? Do you want to rezone this property from conservation to lodge in order to do this? The ballot question has like 5 different things all in one question that we're considering.
Right.
So I just want to, what's important to me is that the broad conversation happens, and it's not just celebrated as, yay, a new portal, and as you just said, do we want another 2 little Nells down there? And
arguably, Lift 1's already been approved, and arguably, Skico is going to build a lift no matter what. The lift just might not come all the way down.
Yeah.
And is that enough to bring back World Cup? In my opinion, being involved in World Cup as a gatekeeper for very many years and being on the course at the finals every day in 2017, it was not about a luxury development. It was about our mountain and our people.
Yeah.
And the people meaning the locals and the visitors and all the team support. That's what creates our historic, legendary racing background. It was never dependent on a luxury development. And the FIS never asked for a luxury development with $1,000 to $1,500 rooms at Gorsuch House, and then all fractional at Lift 1.
Well, they're desirous of a world-class stage there to support world-class events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But maybe not all that, like you said, 300,000 square feet of development.
Yeah, they didn't say give us 300,000 square feet development. It looks like this, so we can have that event. Right? They said clean up the base area so you have something appropriate for a world-class event, and I get that.
Well, let's leave it at that because I want to touch on a couple things. But kind of briefly, we're down to just 3 or 4 minutes. But what are you most proud of in your term as mayor?
Yeah.
And what would you say you regret?
Yeah.
In your term as mayor, if anything?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, what I'm most proud of, I'll leave, like when you talk about Obama, he talks about his signature policy was Obamacare or affordable, and he has the signature thing. I think there's really 4 major accomplishments. I can leave with like 4 sound things. Okay. One is this uphill economy initiative where I laid the foundation to diversify our local economy away from boom and bust development cycles and make Aspen kind of the epicenter of uphill fitness in North America. And this whole program has been embraced by Governor Hickenlooper's office, the previous governor, and we gained some momentum on that. And that's happening. So we laid the foundation for that.
Okay.
The second thing is climate and environmental stewardship. And as you know, we were able to I was the 3rd of 3 mayors and a number of city councils to work on 100% renewable and a number of other climate initiatives, and we were recognized for that. And then I was actually invited around the world on a number of speaking engagements, elevating Aspen's value in the international conversation. So I'm really proud that I was able to help this tiny place of Aspen be part of the state, national, international conversation. That was quite a
very cool.
Something
and
I've
we're
done.
100%. The city's 100% renewable
running
energy.
Our electric utility, Aspen.
Few.
Right. So when you flip a light switch, in most parts of Aspen, not entirely because Holy Cross provides some of the energy, but Holy Cross is getting there too. Your energy is coming from a turbine or a hydro plant. So the uphill economy, the climate initiative. I rewrote the land use code.
That's right. That was huge.
To roll back all these big buildings, so you're not going to see any of those anymore. And that was a really, really difficult thing, and I appreciate council for supporting that initiative because we had to have an emergency ordinance and a moratorium and all this stuff. So that was done.
28-foot height limits downtown.
So
part of that.
We rolled that back, and really took a year and $500,000 of public money, but we got it done. I'm really proud of that. And finally, one thing I'm quite proud of, and I know we had some bumps in the road here, is the mobility lab, the ZAS Mobility Lab, and I kind of talked about based. A program entirely on the aspirations of the community plan, which talks about a bike and pedestrian orientation in our downtown core, and one that less reliance on single occupancy vehicles. So I laid out a program that fundamentally changes how I move into, out, and around Aspen. And while it won't be implemented to the degree I hoped, by the time I'm out of office, the program is in place and it'll come in parts. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to not build more lanes and parking garages and work on a program that reduces the number of cars through next generation mobility technology. So kind of 4 big
and you said a couple key things there, and one being the Aspen Area Community Plan, because there's been this kind of attacking and personal attacking and saying it's your and council's personal agendas, when really this is the Aspen Area Community Plan you guys are acting on.
Yeah.
And one of them is to create alternatives to the single-use car, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But Steve-O, we're already down to a minute, so What does the future hold for Mayor Skadron
Yeah,
once you're done with your term?
Eric, I'm really flattered. I don't have the specific answer yet, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to figure this out.
Okay.
But I'm quite flattered because a number of people locally and kind of nationally have reached out to me and expressed interest in what I'm doing next and have been talking through some things. So when it happens, Eric will come. I'd like to announce it right on your show. So
Okay. Well, you'll be back then.
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
happy
that
to come back.
announcement.
Eric, and thank you everything for over the years. It's been a privilege to come here.
Well, thank you, because it takes a lot of courage and a lot of hard work to do what you've done. You've done some very innovative things. Thank you so much for taking care of our town and protecting our town in a lot of ways. So I hope you had fun on the show today.
Loved it. Thanks.
You earned your cookies, my friend. And there's a reusable container on top. Thanks, buddy. And thank you guys for watching this week on The Local Show.
Thanks, guys.
Aspen Public House is a modern gastropub located in the historic Wheeler Opera House building in the heart of downtown Aspen, serving breakfast, lunch, après-ski, dinner, and late night 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to late.
Aspen Animal Hospital's partnership with Wellhaven offers our community a very friendly and professional staff featuring 5 veterinarians, a new care companion plan, wellness plans to cover your preventative care needs for the entire year, and now introducing new feline-friendly Thursdays. They also offer exotic pet care and acupuncture. For more information, call 970-925-2611 or visit aspenanimalhospital.com.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
Aspen Times, telling the stories that matter since 1881, is committed to local prep sports, arts, and entertainment coverage. They also offer the Drop-In, weekly recreational videos highlighting why we love to live in this community. The Aspen Times at local newsstands, aspentimes.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
Hey, did you miss the turn for recycling?
I can't read the map on your cracked screen.
Sundog Athletics is your opportunity to experience one-of-a-kind guided adventures and gain new skills to experience the thrills of snowshoeing, fat biking, canoeing, mountain and road biking. They can be reached at 970-925-1069. Fresh updates at Sundog Athletics on Facebook or sundogathletics.com.
Welcome to